Welcome to the first episode of the Powerhouse Pod, where we talk leadership, mastery, and money with top entrepreneurs and top traders and investors all across the world. Now, for tonight's special guest and the very first guest of this podcast, we have a very special person here alongside me. And this is somebody that's actually here from the area. So this is definitely a long overdue podcast, I would say. Zach, for those who may not know your story and your background, how did you commence inside of this industry?
It's been quite an experience, honestly. I mean, I first got my initial taste of entrepreneurship through gaming. I was always that type of person where no matter what type of MMO I would be playing, I would find a way to make money within the system.
Yeah.
And as time has gone on, I got introduced to different business models, to the financial markets. What I've come to realize is that every industry, to a certain extent, it overlaps. And I think that really what's been the biggest standing point for me is just being in tune with understanding who it is that I am, right? It's that whole idea of you know yourself better than I do. What kind of conversations are you having with yourself behind the scenes? What kind of actions are you taking behind closed doors? I think just being willing to have those brutally honest looks at what it was that I was doing has ultimately allowed me to continue to move forward and just taking that approach of getting a little bit better every single day.
I absolutely love that because you came in with pretty much a different approach, I would say, inside of these markets than many people. In order for you to master it, you looked at it as an inner mastery. Now, you've been in the markets now for the past decade, over a decade now. You've been through points and you've already passed the points where a lot of people would have quit, So what do you think has kept you inside of this industry for so long, and what keeps you persevering to keep moving forward?
I think it's really obvious decision for me. The way that I looked at the markets when I first got started back in 2014 was through the lens of, even if I don't learn about how to make my money work for me, if I don't learn about the markets, if I don't learn about trading, if I don't learn about investing and building a portfolio, the time is going to pass anyways. And with the way that I looked at things through my gaming experience and having the ability to earn an online income before I even knew what the markets were, what I realized was that coming into this industry, it was perceived in a certain type of way. And I mean, you see it online all the time, the flashy ads and the certain lifestyle and this mentality that honestly isn't healthy for the newest person that's getting started. And that wasn't even really what hooked me, right? It was more so the idea that if I could make this work, regardless of if it took me a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20, coming back to that idea that I mentioned a moment ago, the time was going to pass anyways. So why not invest my time and my energy into learning a skill set that no one can take away from me, into learning a skill set that I can then go on and pass knowledge to my friends, to my family, to my future children. And the way that the world is evolving, I think it's really cool to see the blend in technology and how things have kind of emerged to where they are today, with crypto being such a big market environment and the tokenization of everything. That's the main things that we see big money talking about today. But one thing that I get asked a lot, coming back to your original question of like what allowed me to persist, because there are a lot of times this was tough. This isn't a cakewalk. The late nights, the years of putting more money into the markets than seeing an ROI on it. And what really gave me the shift was I was that person who I did go to college. I didn't graduate, I didn't finish my degree, but for the time that I was there, I did it to the best of my ability. And so when I switched into trading, I looked at it through the same perspective of I was willing to go and get a 4-year degree. If I was going to then take that next step and get rid of the masters, that was going to be another 2 to 4 years. So we're thinking 8 to 10 years potentially of time. And there are a lot of people that do that. Some of my closest friends have degrees and they have a certain level of income in their profession. Some of them enjoy what they do, some of them don't. But the reality is anything that's worth learning, and especially if it is a high income skill set, it takes time.
Right.
It takes an investment of time, and money, and focus. And so that's the way that I looked at trading. And the first 4 years, I mean, it was really rocky.
Yeah.
You know, it really tested me. And so being able to look back at it now, it's like, all right, that was the equivalent of me going and studying. And even if I had an internship in the time that I was in college and making a little bit of money, it's not like once you graduate, you're exactly where you want to be. And so the next 4 years, some quantum leaps, some big paradigm shifts, really seeing some results as well through the combination of crypto markets, some of the major world events that we all experience. And now I'm at the point where it's like, okay, we're going into year 13. How can I just continue to be better? Right? There are definitely people out there that have been trading longer than me. There are people out there that have more results than I have. But at the same time, it's like it's me versus me. And that's the way that I've always looked at it. I got to stay in my lane, focus as best as I can. And I'm really grateful to be in a situation where, we can do stuff like this, have conversations like this, give back to the community in a way that I'm not necessarily going to be able to reach every person, even if I can just shift one mindset and help someone think about money differently, markets differently, or their entrepreneurial journey differently, then, it's making a little bit of a difference.
Yeah. No, I love that. And one thing that you mentioned, and I want to take it back to this, is that in everything that you have done inside of your life, you wanted to excel in, so like even whenever you were in college, you did well there. And I think, and I want your opinion on this more than anything, because the amount of people that get into the markets, especially nowadays here in 2025, you could say a lot of people might say that it's a saturated market. A lot of people have been getting into trading, into investing, into crypto, but yet the percentage of the profitability index of people that achieve profitability inside the markets, it's still relatively the same. So the number hasn't really changed, even though the amount of volume of people that have gotten into the markets has just risen. And I believe that, in my opinion, one of the reasons that may be is because of that quality that you had just said, But what do you think is the true underlying factor into why a lot of people or a lot of students don't witness profitability within the markets?
I think there are a couple of reasons. The main one is expectation.
Why not?
Because the reality is, if you're like me and you first get introduced to trading, you have this grander vision of what my life could look like when I make this happen. When I learn how to trade, when I learn how to grow my money, when it just comes easy. And again, and if you're like me, the expectation is I'm going to do this in an unreasonable amount of time. and that's the beginning. Now, for the majority of people that I've worked with, and from the things that I've seen in just our culture, the fact that today, if something is longer than 15 seconds, you're going to lose part of that audience. the reality is the expectation that most people have when they hit that first level of resistance, or maybe they blow up their first trading account, or maybe they feel stuck because every single time that they just start seeing something, it's like they take 2 steps forward and they go right back to where they were. Reality is that this is going to take a little bit longer than what I thought. And if you don't have the ability to think about things on a longer term perspective, right? Like, yes, the reality of a situation today might not be exactly what you want it to be. But like I mentioned earlier, the time's gonna pass anyways. So does it really matter if it takes you 2 years or 3 or 5 or 15 or 30 to be able to learn something that can exponentially change the course of the way that you do things? And I think that it's really, really great for the people that do stick with it, because don't get me wrong, trading is fundamentally a very simple thing to learn. The markets can only go up or down. There's nothing too crazy about that. But for most people that aren't willing to be honest with themselves and really commit to the process, when that expectation doesn't match reality, that is why most people end up quitting. Because they don't produce a result that they hoped for or that they wanted. And this goes hand in hand with the other reason why I feel like most people end up quitting, is because they then start to compare themselves to somebody else, looking at this person online or that person in the chat. And the reality is that person that they're comparing to, you're looking at them through a specific lens. They're only showing you what they want you to see. I'm very transparent. I take L's. Right? Like, I have also experienced some just absolutely amazing, life-changing experiences in markets. So again, for most people, the comparison, but also when expectation doesn't meet reality, I think that that's where most people get stuck. And I'm sure that you've seen that as well. And even in your own process, I'm sure that there were times where it's like, hey, I thought by now that I would be here and I'm still in like the consolidation phase, but you know what, the time's gonna pass anyways.
You know, you kind of come into this space and you see the glamour, you know, what's publicized online, you know, and I think the influencers nowadays do a very good job at that, you know, but they don't, a lot of people just like to post the good. They don't like to post the bad. So I feel like a lot of people that have joined this industry just kind of come in with that same mindset coming into this. So as soon as they hit a block wall, they're just like, oh, this isn't supposed to happen, you know? But it's just like you said in the very beginning, it's just like everything else, you know? And I think one thing that you as well, you know, you coming inside of this industry, you know, that I believe, and you can bring your own point to this as well, like that you probably didn't expect to happen, is that you jumped into a leadership role whenever you decided to help other people without consciously, I guess, knowing it. Because you said you were a gamer. So you looked at the markets, you were like, okay, it's just me versus me, right? And then as you started getting better at that process, then people started to ask you for advice. And you've been now in the trading industry for the past 13 years. You're a founder of one of the greatest trading communities of all time here across the world. You've mentored thousands and tens of thousands of people across the world. So with that experience that you've gained now in leadership, what do you say that compelled you to be like, rather than me just sitting on the charts all day, let me go ahead and help somebody else's life be better?
Yeah, I think that it's a really fascinating experience when you get to a point where you have a level of self-trust, self-sufficiency in your process. So where when I first started trading, it was with that mentality of it's just me versus charts, it's me in the markets. That was one of the most healing things for me because of my past business experiences. Want to feel like I had to go this. I didn't want to necessarily put myself out there. I was that kid in high school where I'd be in the back of the room.
Yeah.
I more than once remember skipping class, but I could just reschedule presentation one-on-one with my teacher. Like I did not want to be in front of people in kind of a way. But again, as time went on and as I continued learning about the markets, and I got to meet so many incredible people through this industry, what it showed me more than anything is that it doesn't take away from me to go out and to help somebody. So you really think about it, we've got trillions of dollars that are moving around in the markets, every single day. Then you have individual asset classes that are valued at trillions. Again, it's one of those things where there's such an abundance out there, and I think that a lot of people sometimes they get stuck in that mindset of, well, if I help you, what? How is that going to affect? Again, at the end of the day, it's like the way that I see it. If I can come into the market environment and I can do what I love, and through that process, I can then build and I can reach somebody else that's looking for this, or that needs this, or that just has that same level of desire to just do something that's a little bit different. I just coming this, I didn't know anybody. Or investing, or family wasn't. So I've just come to find that some of my closest relationships to this day, they're people that in a lot of ways are basically just like me. And so it's been such a blessing being able to grow this community. And, you know, again, not to take away from anybody else, it's understanding that my approach and the way that I see things, I'm going to be able to then take that and share that information in a way that's going to help a specific type of person. And then I've got people like you. Some of the other people that are on the team that are able to communicate the same information, just slightly different. It's going to connect with the type of person. And through that process, you know, what we're essentially doing in a time where we are seeing just such an immense level of separation and intensity when it comes to like their own belief system, just super crazy stuff. That's just that. What we're doing is we're creating a system within the system. And through that, we are then able to go and to reach people that are able to pour knowledge into us on things that we feel are important, whether it's related to training, whether it's related to money, whether it's related to or, you know, it's funny, I was joking with one of my close friends the other day. It's like when we first started this process together, we were always talking about how we're always talking about how we can make the most of the charts. We were talking about what it is that we could do to come up. And now we're talking about how we make spaghetti. So it's just like that evolution of the close friendship and the meaningful connections. That's where the intention is. I think that's one reason why, again, I love doing this and building a community, because there's a lot of people that want to make this happen, and trading can be a very highly crowd. Have the right people around you. And the last thing I'll mention on this is there's this misconception that I see too many times, that in order to be successful, as a trader, you got to kind of treat it like a job. So that there's the expectation you show up at 5, guaranteed a paycheck. It's not like that. Or 20-minute fan of the market doesn't always mean more work.
Yep.
More pressing buttons, you're actually more likely to make some costly mistakes.
Yep.
And so it's creating a way and building a system for yourself that can then duplicate it, that I would guess most of these things. And that is at the core one of the main reasons why I did this.
There's a lot of gems dropped in there. You know, one thing that I definitely agree with is that trading can definitely be a very lonely thing if you choose to do it alone, you know, because it really is a one-on-one battle. You know, you develop yourself and you find yourself through the markets, you know, but it's truth of the matter is, and you mentioned this as well, it's like a lot of people come into the markets and they're chasing the wrong thing. They're chasing the money, but the money is a byproduct of who you end up pretty much becoming throughout the process, you know. But a lot of people, like you said, they come in with a job mindset, you know, into a business because the market is a business to begin with, you know, and you can't have that. You can't show up and run your business, you know, and still have a job mentality, you know, because there is going to be times where, again, in the business is going to be in a drought, and there's going to be times whenever the business is going to be flourishing, but it's what you do during those points that matters. And that brings me on to my next topic. Now, since you've been in the markets now the past 13 years, you've seen a total of how many cycles, you would say, inside the markets?
It depends on how you define a cycle.
Let's say a high volatility cycle, bullish cycle, you could say, by many people's retail term.
Well, high volatility, I think it is probably my third cycle now, where there's like immense levels of volatility. I've traded all sorts of markets. I've traded sideways consolidation markets. I've traded markets where we're primarily downtrending. I've traded markets where we're primarily uptrending. I've traded low range days, traded times where it's volatility like what we're seeing.
Yep.
You know, I remember seeing Bitcoin cross 10,000 for the first.
Yep. That was...
And just like really looking at the order book and seeing the number, just all the buys coming in, and then it was like, he broke 10,000. And all of something that came after that. But yeah, this is my third like real high volatility, and in a lot of ways bullish market experience, but it's very different than any of the other ones that I've been trading.
Perfect, because that's actually what I wanted to ask you. What would you say out of each cycle? Because I believe that in every single cycle, you learn something differently, you know, and you get better as a trader, you know. So what was the lessons that you learned out of the first, the second, and this last cycle? And how did you position yourself more correctly each cycle?
I mean, the very first market cycle that I participated in, that was the exposure. Like, that was me being willing to accept the fact that there's more out there than for auctions, and just expanding my paradigm beyond such a limited way of thinking. I should be interacting with the second cycle, that was where I actually put on some risks in a way that was meaningful. And I did it in a way where I just focused on things that I was good at. I focused on things I was knowledgeable about. You know, one of the things that we were able to be very, very early in was the whole blockchain gaming experience.
Yeah.
So seeing projects just take off and doing it in a way where it wasn't even so much about just investing into the token as much as it was about how can we actually do something. There was a period of time where I had outsourced, you know, essentially part-time jobs to hundreds of people to the various communities in developing parts of the world. And I thought that it was so cool, even to the point where it's like, all right, yeah, we probably talked out. And the thing that I can't even say that it was a right or a wrong thing to do, but it was like on a moral level, I didn't want to go and just like fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you wrote it up with me and was writing.
Yo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so coming into this cycle now, I think after experiencing the same volatility, after experiencing the waking up on a single morning and seeing the portfolio change more than I had ever seen.
Yep.
Coming to this cycle, it was with the intention of investing into things that I actually feel are going to be here to stay, rather than just throwing darts.
Yeah.
And moving into the markets with conviction, so that even during the pullbacks, even during the days where, we have the other week, there was that massive liquid.
Yep.
We saw pretty much every crypto asset at least sell off, in some cases down 70, 80, 90.
Insane.
To then bounce back. And
yep.
People, they look at that and it's just like, oh, great. Because they don't have that fundamental understanding of like what was actually going. Even 2 or 3 times leverage, it can really wipe you out if you're not responsible. So yeah, moving with intention, that was the biggest thing coming into this cycle, and how I position myself is just in assets that I think are going to be around. And the only way that I've been able to do that is through the money.
Yep.
The big players do, and the ones that have billions of dollars, and they're saying something that they're going to do. Yeah.
Yep.
You're going to observe them and pay a little bit more attention to what they say than the average person will do.
I think that's such a key factor. I learned that through you, through your education as well. Like, and a lot of traders, especially retail traders coming inside the markets in the very beginning, they don't understand that concept. They look at themselves in an egotistical way, because they come into the markets, maybe that's with $10,000, $100,000, or even sometimes even $1 million. And they're like, they make their first, you could say, breakthrough day, and they're like, yes, like I'm a market mover. I think we've all had that, that one point. For some, it takes a little bit longer than others. They stay in that moment a little bit longer. But you got to humble yourself and realize how big the space is and how we're all little just specks of it. So rather than playing against the whale that's going to eat you, will be the fish that is attached to the whale. And that's the way to win inside the markets. And now, as we come into a conclusion with this amazing podcast, the last question that I really wanted to ask you, especially for our viewers here on the other side, a lot of people that are beginning in the markets, I would say that the average experience level right now of traders is right around 2.5 to 3 years. What advice do you have for those 2 to 3 year experience level traders in order for them to get that next breakthrough out of your experience mentoring people and out of your own experience? What advice do you have for them?
I feel like there's 2 things that anybody, regardless of if you've been trading for 2 or 3 years or even longer, or even if you just got started yesterday, can take away from this and apply right now. The first is document as much as possible. Right? And the reason for that is because just like you look for patterns in the market, when you look to follow the money, you look for clues, the reality is in every single trade that you take, in every single decision that you're making with your money, just like there's patterns in the markets, you're going to have those internal patterns too. With the way that you think, with what it is that you believe, with how it is that you feel when your trade is winning or when your trade is losing. So if you have that documentation and that data, what this is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to then go back and analyze that to then start to make conscious shifts within your results. The reality is you can't effectively make change if you're not even aware of how to start. So that's the first thing. The second thing is give yourself grace. One of the things that I experienced a lot, and even still do sometimes to this day, is there's this tendency that we have to be hard on ourselves and to not give ourselves credit for the things that we are doing well and for the things that are actually moving us closer towards achieving whatever it is that we're working for. So what I mean when I say give yourself grace is just understand that there are going to be days where, yeah, it's tough. And it may not even necessarily be something related to the markets. It may be something that's happening in a personal relationship, your significant other, family member, something that happened at your job, whatever it may be. There are going to be days that are a little bit more tough.
Yeah.
So when you're willing to just be okay with that and accept that and allow yourself to just have that moment of time to maybe, it's that whole idea like it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
That moment and stay that way. That's what I feel like has been able to allow me to just, again, continue going and to growing, is because I've allowed myself to have those days. And I've allowed myself to really enjoy and really celebrate and really embrace the wins as well. Right? Rather than getting stuck, okay, I made it. It's like, no, let's bring it back. You still have stuff to do. There's still a lot of things that I want to achieve that, I'm coming on my way. But again, I'm grateful for what I've already been able to do. And so it's just that whole process of learning, unlearning, growing, becoming better, being graceful through the process, because you're going to have days.
Yep. No, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, thank you, Zach, for joining us here today, on our very first episode. Thank you for the gems and everything you have provided towards the audience. Where can the audience find you?
You can find me around Powerhouse community. I'm grateful for our Tradehouse team, and if you want to connect with me on a closer level, you can follow me at Trading Coach.
Let's go. The very first episode with Zachary Hogan, a 13-year veteran here within the markets, and he dropped an absolute insane amount of value for all of our audience here. If you're watching this on the other side and you just commence your journey, especially within that first year to 3-5 year journey, you're going to learn so much by just playing back some of those moments, some of those questions that he went ahead and answered. So thank you, Zachary, once again for going ahead and hosting this alongside with me. And as always, the best is yet to come.